They thought they broke you. But what if breaking was never the enemy? What if it was how you finally became real? But they only built the man who can't be hurt again. You've been shaken. Not once, not twice, enough to make silence feel dangerous. You've learned to laugh while breaking, to walk while empty, to pretend you don't care when you still do. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Maybe that's what your pain was trying to do. Wake you up to what you have buried. The pain didn't destroy you. It educated you. You didn't fail. You evolved. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." What hurts you is what trains you if you dare to look long enough. And education unsettles before it frees. Listen, this isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming whole. The man who no longer fears being hurt cannot be controlled. Because once you've seen how pain shapes you, you stop running from it. You begin to see that even the darkness was never against you. It was training you to see the light. That's the strength of a man who walks alone, not to escape the world, but to master himself. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not by chance, but by choice, your choice. You've spent years performing strength. You wake up, put on the same invisible armor, smile, work, stay composed. But inside, you're tired of holding the line. You tell people you're fine, but that word has lost its meaning. Fine just means you're quietly holding everything together, hoping no one notices. And maybe that's you right now, pretending you're fine while quietly falling apart. You've mistaken endurance for peace and silence for healing. But silence can also be a disguise, a way to hide from yourself. But the cracks always return because you can't outwork what you refuse to feel. Jung reminded us, what you resist persists. The feelings you avoid don't disappear, they wait. You fix it by finally listening to what it's been trying to say. If you feel empty, don't rush to fill the space. Sit there. That emptiness isn't failure. It's the space where truth can finally breathe. You've built an image that everyone respects, yet it suffocates you. Like a statue that looks flawless from afar, but cracks the moment it feels warmth. That's what pretending does. It hardens you until you can't even breathe your own truth. You fear that if you let one tear fall, the dam will break. But maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe collapse is not destruction, it's cleansing. You've been taught that men don't crumble, but what if crumbling is how a man finally rebuilds with honesty? Real strength isn't the refusal to feel. It's the ability to face your feelings and not run from them. It's the calm that comes when you understand yourself so deeply that no one else's opinion can move you anymore. You don't protect yourself by hiding your pain. You protect yourself by learning from it until it can't be used against you again. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Every time you understand your wound, it loses its weapon. And that takes time. Some lessons only settle in after the silence hurts enough. When you say "I'm fine" while drained inside, the world believes the mask and forgets the man. But when you drop the mask, the healing begins. Not instantly, but irreversibly. Peace doesn't arrive all at once. It visits the man who dares to tell himself the truth each night. So tonight, stop performing peace. Sit in your quiet room, no distractions, no screen. Let the silence speak first, then answer it with truth. Whisper, "I'm not fine, but I'm learning to be free." That's the first victory, because the man who can face his truth has already taken back his power. If this part spoke to you, pause for a second. Hit like or subscribe, not for me, but for the part of you that's ready to rise again. This journey's just beginning. If you choose awareness tonight, take the first step. Write down one thing you need to stop pretending is fine. Don't post it, just write it for yourself. That's your first proof of awareness. If this sounds like you, you're not late. You're honest. That silence you fear, it's where peace begins. And maybe one night as you sit there doing nothing, you'll feel it. Not relief, not happiness, just a small unclenching inside your chest. That's how peace arrives, not as fireworks, but as permission to stop pretending. You realize you were never broken. You were just exhausted from acting okay. That's when you finally breathe, not to survive, but to return. Sometimes what hurts you isn't what people say. It's what their words awaken inside you. You think the pain comes from the outside, but the real wound has always lived within. Someone raises their voice, and suddenly you're 5 years old again, being told you're not enough. You're not weak for remembering. It's your mind trying to make peace with what it never could. Someone leaves without a goodbye, and every silence you buried years ago comes rushing back. You don't react to the moment, you react to the memory. That's why the same words don't cut everyone the same way. Because pain isn't measured by what happens, it's measured by where it lands. If it lands on an old scar, it burns through the past you never healed. I once saw a man lose his calm over one sentence. Not because it was cruel, but because it echoed something his father once said. But control is a beautiful illusion. You can't stop people from being who they are. You can only stop giving them the power to echo inside you. The more you replay the memory, the louder it grows. But the moment you stop feeding it, the silence doesn't punish you. It starts protecting you. That's how the healing begins. Not by forgetting, but by no longer rehearsing the pain. That's when you stop fighting memories and start meeting yourself again. Every time you react in anger, it's not them, it's you answering the echo. Every time you feel that surge of rejection, it's not the world closing in. It's an old part of you still waiting to be chosen. That's why some men fall apart after a breakup, while others grow calmer. Not because the pain is different, but because one man keeps fighting the noise outside, while the other learns to quiet the noise within. There was a time I thought staying calm meant not caring, so I buried every emotion, smiled through betrayal, told myself I'd moved on. But late at night in the quiet, the same names still echoed. Not loud, but enough to keep me awake. Because you can't silence what you've never faced. Ever wondered why silence feels louder at night? That's not madness, it's memory trying to be heard. You don't fix the echo by running from it. The parts you've denied weren't enemies. They were the pieces asking to come home. Jung called this meeting the shadow. He said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. What is it asking you to see? You fix it by listening long enough to understand what it's trying to teach you. Maybe it's asking you to forgive someone you never could. Maybe it's asking you to finally forgive yourself. That's where peace begins, not by silencing the world, but by becoming still enough to hear your own heart without distortion. The more you understand the sound of your inner voice, the less you react to the noise of others. Let people talk. Let them project. Let them misunderstand you. None of it matters if you're not echoing them inside. You see, the world only hurts you when it finds a wound that still answers back. Heal the wound and the echo dies. It won't happen overnight. Echoes fade slowly, but they do fade. Some nights it returns. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still listening. Tonight, when the room grows quiet, listen closely, not to the voices from your past, but to the part of you that has survived them all. That voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you listen carefully, it will tell you the truth. You were never undone. You were just carrying too many echoes. When you let them go, the silence doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels clean. And that's when you finally understand the world hasn't changed. You have. The echoes fade, but awareness stays. And that awareness, they're awake, becomes your light in every quiet room. Pause for a moment. You've faced your echoes. Now let stillness meet you halfway. You don't have to fix the silence, just let it hold you. There comes a point in a man's life when he stops trying to prove his worth. He's been betrayed, dismissed, misunderstood, enough times to learn that noise always wins for a moment, but never for long. At first, he builds walls and calls them protection. He keeps people at a distance, talks less, laughs less. He thinks silence will keep him safe. But walls don't protect, they isolate. They keep danger out, yes, but they also keep healing from coming in. That's when I learned, you can't hide from life and expect to grow. Every layer of armor that keeps pain away also keeps joy away. Every time you close your heart to betrayal, you also close it to love. And when nothing can reach you, even victory feels empty. Maybe you've been there too, watching someone walk away while pretending it didn't matter. So I began to study calm, not the kind that pretends, but the kind that holds steady in chaos. Calm is not the absence of chaos. Sometimes calm doesn't look strong, it just looks kind. But kindness is the highest form of strength. It's the decision not to become one, not harder, not louder, just steadier. Stillness is the strongest armor because it doesn't fight back. It simply refuses to fall apart. Like water around a stone, it yields, it bends, yet it shapes the very thing that tries to resist it. It's not easy at first. Your instincts will scream to respond, but stillness wins quietly. When someone tries to provoke you, stillness disarms them. When they gossip, accuse, or twist the truth, your calm exposes their noise. They expect reaction. You give silence. They expect anger. You give understanding. They expect weakness. You give peace. That's the shift that separates the wounded from the wise. Every man learns this the hard way. Usually when there's no one left to impress. The wounded fight to be seen. The wise stand so still that truth reveals itself without a word. You see, power doesn't come from control. It comes from composure. The calm man is untouchable, not because he doesn't feel, but because he refuses to let emotion choose his response. He's not suppressing emotion. He's befriending it. Even his anger, once understood, becomes a lantern guiding him back to peace. He doesn't chase explanations, doesn't beg to be understood. He knows that stillness is its own statement, because silence forces truth to surface. It's uncomfortable for those who live on drama, but freeing for those who live on depth. And when you've seen enough of life's storms, you no longer crave thunder. You crave peace. Stillness isn't distance. It's discipline. It's the quiet power of a man who knows himself so well that chaos can't seduce him anymore. It's the armor you don't have to wear, because it's already part of who you are. So when life tests you next, don't rush to defend yourself. Breathe. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. The truth doesn't need your defense. It only needs your calm. One day they'll realize you never needed to shout. You were winning the whole time in silence. Pause here. Let your mind settle for a moment. You've carried enough. Now breathe, not to escape, but to return. There's a kind of strength no one talks about, the kind that doesn't need an audience. We've all been there, trying to prove we're fine when we're not. It grows in quiet rooms where a man finally stops explaining himself. When you've been changed enough times, you learn the art of soft power. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing apologies, not because you've become cold, but because you've learned that peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from understanding yourself. But you can't build your future while staring at the ruins. You can't rest while still rehearsing the moment you fell. Let it go, not to excuse them, but to unchain yourself. And if you can't yet, just loosen your grip. Even that is a start. Forgiveness doesn't make them right. It makes you untouchable. As Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Forgiveness is simply the higher form of that revenge, quiet and complete. Because when you rise above the need to prove, you start walking in peace. And peace always wins slower, but forever. There's something sacred in a man who can walk away without hatred. The world mistakes that for weakness, but it's the opposite. It's power under control, like a hand letting go of the sword first. Power isn't the fist you clench, it's the grip you release. It's how you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's how you stay kind in a cruel room. It's how you walk away with grace instead of noise. It's not indifference. It's evolution. You reach a point where peace matters more than approving anything, where your silence says everything your pride once screamed. The quiet man isn't empty. He's full of lessons, full of perspective, full of things he no longer needs to say. He's done explaining his soul to those who only listen with their ego. So if you've reached that point where your calm confuses people, stay there. Don't shrink to be understood. Don't break your silence to prove your strength. They'll call it detachment, but it's liberation. They'll call it coldness, but it's clarity. Because when your heart has made peace with its own past, there is nothing left for the world to use against you. And that's when you finally realize you never needed revenge. You only needed release. If a line here stayed with you, write it below. Your words might be what another man needs to keep going tonight. Because peace isn't the end of your story. It's the rhythm beneath it. The man who forgives doesn't lose. He simply steps into light too bright for vengeance to follow. If you've walked through pain and chose peace instead of payback, write it below. Someone out there needs to see it. There comes a moment when you stop waiting for life to be fair. You stop expecting people to return what you gave. You stop wishing the past could apologize. And in that moment, something inside you finally exhales. You realize that peace isn't a reward. It's a decision. It's not what happens when the world calms down. It's what happens when you do. For years, you measured strength by how much you could endure. You wore pain like proof that you were still alive. But endurance without awareness is just self-punishment. Now you understand. The goal was never to survive everything. It was to stop letting everything touch you so deeply. Nothing can hurt you now. Not because life stopped being cruel, but because you stopped confusing pain with meaning. And some days you'll wobble. That's not weakness. That's weight leaving slowly. At least not in the same pain still visits, but it no longer stays. You no longer need chaos to feel alive. You've learned to close the chapter yourself, even if no one else reads the ending. There's a quiet dignity in a man who no longer reacts. He listens, he observes, and he chooses peace over pride. He doesn't hide from emotion. He lets it pass through without staying. He doesn't fear solitude, he calls it home. I once saw a man sitting on a park bench in the rain. No phone, no umbrella, just stillness. People rushed past, annoyed by the storm, but he stayed. And in that stillness, he looked freer than anyone running for shelter. That's what peace looks like when you've earned it. Because when you stop resisting the dark, you start seeing through it. You start seeing in it. You begin to notice the light wasn't gone. It was just waiting inside you, like a lantern buried in sand. Once you stop digging, the glow finds its own way out. That's the shift, from reacting to responding, from noise to awareness, from armor to essence. You are not untouchable because you've built walls. You're untouchable because you've become whole. Every wound has been seen, every lesson absorbed, and now life no longer feels like a threat. It feels like a teacher. So when someone tries to test your calm, remember, no noise can shake a grounded man. You've done the work, you've faced the echoes, and what remains is unbreakable. Sit with that, breathe into it. You made it through without turning bitter. That's not luck, that's mastery. Because in the end, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. The storm didn't stop. You just learned to walk through it without losing your rhythm. You've made it this far. You've walked through nights no one saw, carried the weight no one helped you hold, and yet you're still here. You've learned the difference between noise and truth, between pretending to be fine and actually finding peace. But peace isn't the end of pain. It's the mastery of it. Most people stop when the pain stops, but the man who rises keeps going, past the noise, past the anger, into calm. Because real victory isn't when they see your strength, it's when their memory can no longer touch it. So breathe. You've already survived the chaos. Now comes the truest test, not just to stop being hurt, but to stop wanting to hurt back. Revenge looks powerful, but it's still chained to what broke you. You think you're proving them wrong, but you're still facing backward. Silence is the final form of power. The loudest revenge is living untouched. You win alone, not through payback, but through release. You've rebuilt, grown, healed, or at least you've tried. But sometimes something stirs, a name, a memory, a post, and suddenly that calm you've worked so hard for begins to shake. You imagine their face when they realize what they lost. That's revenge disguised as progress, polished, not broken. Revenge never begins with hate, it begins with pain. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Revenge reacts, peace reclaims. You wanted them to understand what they did to you, to feel it, even for a moment. But that wish alone means they still live inside you. If their downfall would make you smile, you're not free. You're still reacting. Because revenge doesn't end pain. It rehearses it, and every rehearsal keeps the wound alive. I once knew a man who built his success like a monument, hoping those who doubted him would look up one day and regret it. But they never looked back, and he never looked forward. That's the trap. You can't build peace on someone else's attention. You can't heal while hoping they notice. You rise when their story no longer interests you. If you felt that shift, the moment you stopped chasing and started rising, leave a word below. And if you found your peace here, stay. Subscribe so you'll remember where to return when the world gets loud again. Forgiveness isn't approval, it's release. It's not saying they were right, it's saying they no longer control who you become. Anger feels like fuel until it burns you. You don't forgive to free them. You forgive to free yourself, to reclaim the energy you've been wasting on a movie that's already over. That's why real power looks quiet. You rise without noise. Peace itself becomes your proof. The calm man isn't weak. He's strategic. He doesn't need to prove who was right. He just moves untouched because he's no longer fueled by pain. So if you're still holding on tonight, ask yourself, is it keeping you safe or just keeping you small? Because every ounce of hate you release returns as clarity. And when that happens, you'll see. You don't heal when they fall. You heal when their fall no longer matters. That's when you win. Life has a strange way of showing you yourself, not through magic, but through repetition. The same faces, the same endings, the same silence, returning until you finally learn what you refuse to see. That's how life teaches. The same storm keeps knocking until you answer with awareness instead of anger. Every pain you wish on someone else, you also wish on yourself, because the mind doesn't know direction, only repetition. If you keep feeding hate, it keeps coming back to eat your peace. The mirror doesn't lie. You show resentment, it returns chaos. You show calm, it returns clarity. That's why the quiet man seems untouchable. He stopped reacting to reflections that aren't worth his gaze. He no longer fights mirrors. He adjusts his posture. Then comes a moment when every man must decide, will I keep fighting ghosts or finally build something real? Revenge keeps you stuck in yesterday. Peace invites you into today. Because the higher you rise, the smaller every battle behind you begins to look. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop rehearsing arguments in your head. And one morning, without realizing it, you wake up and it's quiet, not empty, just clear. That's when you know you've won. Not because you're richer or admired, but because nothing they say can move you anymore. You've outgrown the battlefield. They'll call your silence pride, but silence isn't arrogance. It's arrival. Real power isn't the man who wins the argument. It's the one who no longer needs it. The world will keep testing you. A message from the puck, a face you thought you'd forgotten, but you no longer need to pass the test. You've learned the quiet art of walking away, not out of pride, but out of clarity. Let them wonder, let them talk, because one day they'll understand you didn't disappear. You simply elevated. You never needed revenge. You only needed release. Peace replaced proof. You've walked through pain and came out whole. You faced betrayal, silence, doubt, and yet here you stand, untouched by what once ruled your heart. This is the crown no one can see, the quiet crown, forged in nights of questioning, polished by every time you chose peace over noise. It doesn't glitter, it doesn't shout, but it changes everything. Because once you wear it, no insult can reach you, no loss can define you, no ghost from the past can steal your calm. You no longer rise to prove anything. You rise because peace became your nature. So if the world ever wonders where you went, tell them you didn't vanish. You evolved. You didn't stop caring. You stopped bleeding. And that's the quiet crown every man must earn. Not through victory over others, but through mastery of himself. Peace isn't the absence of shadow. It's when your shadow walks beside you without fear. As Jung said, I'd rather be whole than good. That's what real peace looks like. Wholeness, not performance. He's no longer fighting his shadow, that he walks beside it in understanding. Light and dark move together now, no longer at war. Because when a man can walk alone in peace with no anger left to prove, he no longer needs a throne. He's already wearing one. If this story reminded you of your own, write the moment you chose peace instead of payback. Someone might need it. If this journey spoke to you, remember, this is Move or Die Stoic, where men walk alone and rise untouched.